All right, so hello everyone. This is Monsef Afqer, and thank you so much for joining us in this new live call of Your Divine Uniqueness. So yeah, again, so glad to connect with you here. And so today we'll be doing a video call. Usually we do audio. So yeah, it will be an exciting experience also. And yeah, also very excited that Adalina East is with us on the show. It's the first time that she joins us, and yeah, really excited about what the guidance she will be sharing with us, and also like how she can really remind us of the gifts that we have and the other multidimensional aspects of ourselves that we can tap into, especially that during these times it's challenging, but at the same time, it's opportunities for so many of us to tap into other gifts or other aspects of us that we didn't before, because it's really a time of awakening, and yeah, many of us are experiencing this. So this will be a very exciting call. It will be about discovering your spiritual gifts, and also we'll have a Q&A where you can ask your questions. It will be on the second part of the call. So for that, if you are joining via Zoom app, you can raise your hand by, there is a 3 dots button on the Zoom app. You click on it and then you will find raise your hand. And if you are using the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And if you are watching on the website, the video on the website, there is a question box. The link of the website is yourdivineuniqueness.com/live. And you can just type in your question there. And also, if you are on Zoom, you can type in your questions on the chat. So yeah, before we start, I would love to share with you a little bit about Adalina. So Adalina East is an international lecturer, educator, mental health expert, and healer, working with a global clientele to recover from trauma and bring forth inner guidance. Founder of Transformational Healing, Adalina draws upon her neuroscience and counseling backgrounds, as well as her spiritual gifts, to lead others through a spirit-driven process to retain their brains and reawaken their bodies, creating profound change. Adalina's decade-long career with the United Nations and other humanitarian aid organizations brought her to serve thousands of people in 8 countries to overcome trauma and welcome innate wisdom to heal. In addition to offering online classes, channeled tones, or sound harmonics for healing, and hosting teleclasses, Adalina travels as a guest speaker, multidimensional mentor, and consultant to bring transformational healing to where it is most needed. And with that, Adalina, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. So yeah, I shared maybe a little bit about you through your bio, but I would love if you can tell us more from your own perspective, because it can be more inspiring and more deeper.
Thanks. So Monsef, I was very excited to be a part of your show because I know that you have such an international reach, and that's a lot of my background as well. I started out doing counseling work and working with survivors of domestic violence through the UN. And as that went on, I ended up getting multiple degrees in counseling and neuroscience, and decided that though I really enjoyed my work and it was incredible, I was feeling as though we weren't reaching people on a completely deep level. So we would do a lot of, things that are standards, let's say, for helping people overcome trauma. There is a great deal of trauma involved in intimate partner violence, of course, but I was working in countries where there was trauma on top of that, earthquakes, war, you name it. And so I chose to continue doing research and trying to find something that would really help people in a long-term sense. I have an issue with dependency, and I was noticing a lot of dependency building on the counselors, because People get adjusted to them, they feel safe, and that's beautiful. But I wanted to create something where people could feel safe on their own, because this world is a crazy world and we never know when we will be alone, right?
Right.
So I continued researching and trying new things. And then I also ended up having a health crisis of my own. I could not figure out what was wrong with me. I went to see 27 doctors and no one could figure it out. My body hurt or was numb all of the time. And so as that was happening, I started to tap back into my spiritual self, something that I had ignored for 15 years or so. I was raised in a very, I would say, religious context, and it didn't really ring true to me. And so I went out on my own exploration. I read the holy books of every religion I could get my hands on. I began channeling my spirit guides again, which was something that my Native American grandmother had taught me how to do when I was little. And now, not only was I channeling my ancestors, but I began to channel other religious figures and star collectives and all of these types of things. And so through doing that work, I was able to create my modality, which is called Transformational Healing. And I created it to help myself initially to reprogram my brain, to retrain my brain using the tools of modern neuroscience, but also using my spiritual side and my history of counseling, so that I could heal myself of what was really happening, which was a mind-body process. The Western medicine world is just starting to recognize the mind-body process, whereas a lot of the Eastern countries have recognized it for centuries. And so I use a lot of those things in my healing toolkit as well. And it's my pleasure to be able to share this with as many people as possible. So thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing about your story. And maybe before we start talking about our subject, if you can tell us more about your own modality, it would be great if we can start with that.
Of course. So I ended up hosting a free event last night, and I talked through a lot of this. So I see many people from the event last night. Hi, everybody. You're going to hear this again today, but it will help it sink in much better. So I believe in science. I am a scientist also. And modern neuroscience shows us different ways that our brains work and different ways that our brains can incorporate new information and let go of old information that we won't be using anymore. And so one of these techniques is called neurolinguistic programming. And this is a hot topic. You'll see it all over Instagram. The way that I use neurolinguistic programming is very different, but the concept is the same. So we go back and we talk through something that's happened in the past that was traumatic. So for example, with intimate partner violence, we talk about the violence that transpired in the marriage or the relationship. We try to narrow in on one specific incident that was quite traumatic. And if the person doesn't want to talk about it, of course, that's okay. They can think of it in their own heads. This is not psychotherapy. We don't have to sit and talk for hours. And they rewrite that circumstance. So for example, if they were in a domestic violence type situation and their partner hit them, they would rewrite that situation with their partner coming home with flowers and lots of love and having a beautiful night together. And this is not to say that that did not just happen. Of course, we always remember that it happened, and we should, because that's dangerous and it's a situation to get out of quickly. But it's a way of toning down your physical body's response to that trauma. Because I know that for me, my physical body's response to all of the trauma that I encountered when I was working overseas as a child, etc., was to freeze. And so we want to keep our bodies able to move and move freely. So first we do that, and I bring in the guides to help us figure out what specific memory we should work on. If the person has any doubts, they can tell me. And then I move into a new part of the healing, which is called polyvagal toning theory. And this is a theory created by Porges. And basically what it posits is that we can use the sound of our own voices to help us heal. And studies have shown that people who use their own voices to try to help themselves heal, or even just people who hum around the house all day, actually have higher scores on depression standardized testing. So a great way to do some healing work on yourself without having to stop and concentrate and focus on it while you're doing the dishes or doing laundry or whatever, is to just hum to yourself. Let yourself hear your own voice. That can be really powerful, especially for survivors of trauma who maybe had their voices suppressed for a long time. And these are pretty common techniques at this point, but the way that I use them differently is to always be communicating with our spirit guides. And the spirit guides that I work with are the Pleiadians, the Syrians, the Mary Magdalene Collective, the Archangels, and many others. And so we stop often throughout each session to hear from them, to receive their guidance, and then they channel through messages for that person in particular, or messages for that group, as they will do today for our group. And then they channel through these healing tones, which we hum together in order to lead our brains to longer lasting healing. That was a big mouthful. I'm sorry, I get very excited and I just start talking about it.
And that was really, really wonderful. Really, thank you so much for sharing about that. And yes, so today we are talking about spiritual gifts, and you mentioned a little bit about that when you were talking about your modality, because like accessing the spiritual realm, there are so many ways to do that. So I would love if you can tell us maybe a little bit about that, and also like how to know like which one will work for us best.
Yes. So what I also do in addition to transformational healing is that I work with people as a mentor. I've found mentorship to be crucial for my life, and I don't know how I ever did without it. When I was going through that long period of sickness, I started mentoring with my grandmother again, and I'm so lucky and blessed to have her in my life still at her age. And I found that, you know, when we're young, we have a tendency to think that we know everything. I know I thought I knew everything, for sure. Mm-hmm. I've traveled all over the world. I've had a very big, important job. I know everything. Well, I didn't. I knew actually very little. And so I found it extremely helpful, and still to this day find it extremely helpful to run by different scenarios with my grandmother, to ask her for spiritual help when I'm lost, and to learn new techniques from her. So I firmly believe in this relationship of mentor-mentee and our ability to learn better when we learn one-on-one from another person. I love teaching group classes, and I will always do it, and they're very affordable for everyone. But in order to really explore our spiritual gifts, I personally like to do it with a mentor. So what I love doing with people in terms of exploring our spiritual gifts is that I have a little handbook of techniques that we can use together to figure out what your unique gifts are. And so I remember when I was first beginning this process with my grandmother, I thought, you know, I know that I'm a channel because I channeled as a kid, but I don't really know if there's anything else there. And so then what I do with others and what I did with my grandmother is that we start combing through your history. So what were you really great at as a child? What was your first big area of interest? Was it music? Was it art? Was it dance? It was probably one of those, because kids have a natural affinity for the arts. And so one of my best tips to give you to start tapping into your own unique spiritual gifts is to go back through your history and think about what your favorite thing to do was as a child, and start doing that again. Even if as an adult you can't draw at all and it looks terrible, it looks like, you know, stick figures and bad hair, it's okay. Start doing it, because as we get back into our child mind, it leaves our brains a bit more open, and it allows our spirit guides to come to us more frequently and more openly to help guide us in that next right step. And all we're trying to do is get to that next right step. We can't plan 20 years in the future, but we can figure out what the next right step is through using certain tools like this, going back to childhood, doing something you loved as a child, and just allowing your spirit to be open to receive information from your guides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really really interesting. And also, I love that you mentioned like feeling guided to what to do in the right next step. Because many times, like when we see others like healers and teachers, maybe who channel other beings or maybe do Akashic record reading, like we want to be like them, but there are some divine timing and also steps that we need to go through. And on the right timing, like things that they will show up for us, like the right things and the right path that we need to follow.
I absolutely agree, Monsef. Yeah.
So yeah, what will be your advice? Because there is some excitement in the beginning, and then we see it may take some time. It depends on the person. So
Yeah.
how can we navigate this and have at the same time like excitement and patience, like both at the same time?
This is a great question. I can share with you what's worked for me and what's worked for a lot of my clients. So I have found that there's always a point of acceleration. So for example, let's say you start learning how to heal, like doing energy healing, for example, and you're taking a Reiki class or something, and you're realizing that, hey, I can do this. This is exciting. I know how to do this now. And you start practicing on all of your friends. When you go through that part of practicing on all of your friends, which we do in my mentorship program also, you get a lot of practice. When you're going through that part of practicing on everyone, again, before you start your healing, your reading, whatever it is that you're doing that you want to practice, go into a meditative state and just say, guides, I'm open to whatever you want to show me. If you want to show me a new modality, if you want to show me a different way of doing this, I'm open to whatever you show me. And then allow. The allowance is the hard part, I find, for most people, because we want to control, we want to grip, we want to have this thing that we've been waiting to be for so long and that we've been learning about for so long happen right now, right? But sadly, the universe doesn't work this way, or maybe fortunately, the universe doesn't work this way because there is divine timing. And we never really know why that is until after it happens. So as you're starting to practice on someone, doing whatever you can do, whether it's yoga teaching, Reiki, theta healing, I find those are the big gateways for people. Take a moment and tap into yourself and ask your guides to be with you and send you more information. The other tip that I like to give to people when they're first starting out is that there will be a moment in time when you are everything you want to be. Like when the Akashic Records reading person that you've been admiring on YouTube actually seems kind of elementary to you, and you've really surpassed that person's gift, that will happen to you. And just know that it's going to happen, and know that you have what it takes to get there because you care at all. All the universe needs is just one little keyhole to get in and to help you grow your gifts. And you've given the universe that keyhole. So all there is to do is to keep learning, keep sharpening your skills, take classes, learn as much as you can from videos, from podcasts, whatever you can do, and keep yourself as open as you can. This is a very real life tip for anyone who's interested in learning more too, but something that I have my mentees do pretty early on is to start social media accounts that are based on metaphysics, that are based on spirituality, and keep it very general and vague, because you may not know what your gifts will be yet. Like you might think you're a channel, but actually you're a healer. You might think you're a healer, but actually you're reading the Akashic Records. To source energy, it's all the same. So all of them are beautiful. All of them are divine. but just start a social media account with messages of hope and things about metaphysics, because doing that earth type stuff takes a very long time. And it's good to have things sort of built up. By the time you get to the point that you feel like you're an amazing Akashic Records reader and you're ready to take clients or whatever the case may be. So it's always good to start those earth type things early on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I love that, and also it can help to build confidence, because many times, like, because we received these questions before on the show, that it's hard to share their gifts because they fear of how they will be received, if they will be accepted or judged. But like you said, if they build this like with time, it will be much easier to share their gifts and share their message when they feel it's the right time for that.
Absolutely. And this is something that we work with a lot in my mentorship program too, because I think I tend to work mostly with women. I do work with a few men, but I find that most people who come to me are women. And there is a certain comfort there of like, oh, you went through this with your husband, I'm going through this with my husband, that kind of thing. There is always the concern in every single person I ever mentor with a partner that the partner will not get it, or the partner will leave them, the partner will think they're crazy, something along these lines.
Yeah.
I can share with you that almost never happens. And it's a fear, and it's a valid fear, and I get it. But by first starting sharing with friends, sharing with social media, that kind of thing, it can be like a training ground for you to share it with your partner, and to make sure that you've already shared it with enough people that even if the worst case scenario happens, which it won't, it rarely does, you have a very good support network around you of other like-minded souls. But I have to tell you that partner concern, it's going to be okay. For most people, it really rarely happens that the partner hates it or thinks it's not okay, because it's you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Like, many times we have this like great fears about how others will react, but then like we can be like, I was sometimes like really surprised, like the love that I received from others. Sometimes just the mind creates things, and
of course, we're human.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And also another question I have about discerning, when we start like receiving the guidance and the messages, how to discern between like what is actually guidance and what we just created like based on our own beliefs, because many times it's happened to me, like, and so I would love if you can tell us how can we do that.
Of course. So the first thing I want to say is I want to refer back to my podcast. I have an episode on this. The podcast is called Light Beings and Way Showers, and you can find it on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. But the first thing that I want to say is, if you are clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, maybe you're feeling, seeing, hearing things from your guides, the first level of check is, how am I feeling today? So if all day you've been feeling really wonderful, then okay, that's a tick in the box for yes, this is probably a spirit guide thing. If you've been feeling really awful and you're very down in the dumps, or you're very anxious, that message is probably you. Because our guides tend to come to us for comfort and for love. They do sometimes come to us with warnings. When I worked for the UN, I used to get warnings from my guides very often, like, don't go to that town today, or various things like that. And I always listened, because I was always working in places that were undergoing internal conflict. And so it behooved me and both my team as well to listen to those messages rather than write them off as anxiety. But if you live in a peaceful place and you're having a lot of anxiety that day, and you're hearing from your guides, oh, don't go to the supermarket, that might be you. If your guides are telling you messages of love and of hope for other people, certainly share those, because even if that's just you, that's okay. That's wonderful. It's our job to be here and love each other and take care of each other. If you start feeling sensations in your body, and they might not necessarily be comfortable, to be quite honest. Bodily sensations can be something for a lot of people with their guides. I know when I first started channeling, my feet would feel like they were vibrating and kind of on fire sometimes. And we went multiple rounds with podiatrists and every kind of foot doctor known to man. And what I eventually realized was that the Pleiadians speak to me through my feet, and it is not always comfortable. So if you're starting to hear from your guides and feeling physical sensations, that is likely your guide speaking to you, unless it's, again, a message of fear, anxiety, hate. Those things are usually not from your guides.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing about those. And also, like you mentioned about when channeling, having a feeling like in our body, and sometimes also it can be like movements, like it depends on the person. It's also like we said earlier, like try to know oneself more, and because everyone, their experience is unique and can be different than others. And yeah, so as you mentioned about channeling the Pleiadians, would you like maybe to share a message for the group?
Yes,
like
I would
channel
love to.
message. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Our dearest ones, we are so pleased to be with you here. We are so pleased to be in the midst of a group of those who have gathered together to learn from their spirit guides, to learn new methods and new recommendations for tapping into our energy and for working with us. Our dearest ones, we are honored to be here. And what we wish to bring through for you today is a message of continuation. You are all very beautiful light beings in this world. You've all come back during this time for a specific reason. And a part of this reason is to support each other, for there is a community being built here now. And this community is very precious and very sacred. And we encourage you to continue building this community, continue to make time for each other, continue to gather as you have done today. For these are relationships here today with some that you may know for the rest of your time on Earth. For those of you that are new to this kind of work, we encourage you to also spend time with this community. We know that the work can seem overwhelming at the beginning. There is so much to learn and to cherish. There is so much to work towards that it can feel almost like beginning a whole new life. But dear ones, this is the beginning of a whole new life. For a part of your gift, your divine uniqueness in this universe is that you have incredible spiritual gifts. And though some of these may have come through to you as a child, they have been put on the back burner, so to speak, until this point in your adulthood. And so, dear ones, we are very pleased to see you tapping in again and trying to remember or recall what these spiritual gifts are, what your divine uniqueness is. Dearest ones, we can share with you that your divine uniqueness also comes from previous lifetimes. We know, for example, that those gathered here have all had divine spiritual gifts in previous lifetimes that they used with their communities, with their families, with their friends. The gift of healing, the gift of foresight, the gift of inner knowledge lives here, dear ones. And you are always, always welcome to work with us, to bring forward these gifts in a new way. And so today, dear ones, we wish to reassure you that, first of all, yes, your gifts exist. And you would not be here if they did not. As this channel said earlier, all that is needed is a small keyhole for us to pass through in order to be able to work with you on enhancing your spiritual gifts. The mere fact that you are here today is that keyhole, dear ones. And as we work with you through this part of you, we ask you to remember that you have done this in many, many lifetimes before. Remember, remember, remember. And dear ones, if you are not able to remember, if you do not know yet what your spiritual gifts are, take heart, for this is a process. As these two divine souls have brought through today, there is such a thing as divine timing, and it is not known yet why you may not express your gifts for a certain period of time, though we do know and we have seen evidence that working with a mentor does assist your gifts in coming forward more quickly, such as this mentor here. But we also understand that there are certain factors, universal factors, that we cannot touch. And so, dear ones, we encourage you forward on your path. We encourage you towards more learning. We encourage you towards working with someone one-on-one so that you can develop these divine, unique gifts that you have been given, that you've had for so many thousands of years. And so, dear ones, we choose to give you an activation today to help move your gifts forward. This will be subtle, dear ones. This will be something to be observed in the next 7 days or so. Observe the way people react to you. Observe the new thoughts that come into your mind, for many of them will be spirit-based. Observe the new messages from your guides coming through. And be open, dear ones. Allow your heart to open. If there is any healing that must be done on your past, if there were certain things that shut you down, shut you off from receiving your guides, please do share that with another soul and work towards healing that. And dear ones, in order to amplify these gifts of yours and to move them and advance them forward, we ask you to place both hands on your heart. And we are channeling energy, our energy, the Pleiadian collective energy, through your heart. All the way down to your navel point. And if you just feel a warm liquid type feeling, of course, this is okay. Whatever feelings you're having as this takes place, they are all okay. And now we invite you to do some toning with us, to allow your brain to accept in this new information. We will not rewrite anything today, dear ones, for it is more difficult in this group environment to rewrite the individual things that may be holding you back from fully expressing your spiritual gifts. But we do invite you to work with us on this later. And for now, we are very pleased to send you these tones to start the healing process and to amplify and speed up the expression of your true gifts. As always, it matters not if your tones do not match the tones of this channel. It is more so about your intention. take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And now connect your middle finger with your thumb on both hands, with all fingers pointed straight up at the ceiling, and tone with us. And take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and relax your hands. And now, dear ones, bring your mind, body, and spirit back down through the different layers of the universe, through the purples, pinks, blues, greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. Further down to your favorite place in nature. And see this favorite place in front of you. Ground your feet in here. And now bring your mind, body, and spirit up. Allowing your mind, body, and spirit to stay in this elevated place, feeling beautiful, feeling wonderful, feeling as though your gifts surround you at all times. As you ground your feet into your favorite place in nature, feel the opposition, this pull down in your favorite place on New Earth and also up in the clouds. And as you experience this polarity, as you experience this gift, we ask you to slowly open your eyes. And as you slowly open your eyes, bring yourself back into the room, back into where you sit.
That was very beautiful, and the message from the Pleiadians were like very empowering, and also at the same time we feel the like care energy, some warm and caring energy that comes through. And yeah, and also when we started joining, I really loved that part because it helped to help us to come back to the now moment like instantly. It's like, I don't know, it's like the mind stops, and then yeah, we just start here and now. So thank you so much.
Of course.
Wonderful. And
I was feeling everybody's energy while we were doing that. I was feeling everyone participating and feeling the love from the Pleiadians being transmitted down to all of us. So that was really beautiful for me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Maria, she wrote tears falling on my cheeks. Thank you.
Good.
And Erica, she wrote, why the hand positions?
So this is something very interesting to me. I love neuroscience so much, of course, and sometimes science lags behind certain things. As we've experienced this year, science is always changing. There are always updates. But what modern neuroscience started to show us a few years ago is that certain parts of your brain correspond to certain hand positions. And you can't make these things up, right? So yoga has been practiced for how many centuries. And in yoga, we have mudras or hand positions. And what they're starting to find is that certain mudras correspond to certain parts of your brain. And when used in conjunction with certain tones, can actually speed up healing and reduce inflammation in that part of your brain. This is something that when I am channeling, the guides actually show me in that person's brain what's happening. I think because of my background in neuroscience, I kind of know what a brain looks like on the inside. I know all of the different parts and the names. And so, for example, when I was working with a mentee the other day, we were healing something from her past that was holding her back from expressing her gifts. There was a lot of early childhood trauma there, and there was a lot of concern about the ways in which people in her life would perceive her if she started channeling. And I know she's a channel, and I've heard her channel before, even when she hasn't recognized it herself. Very wise woman. And so we started working on healing that. And the guides were showing me in her brain that the hippocampus, which is this part of our brain that stores emotion and that codes emotion along with a certain moment in our lives, they were showing me that there was a moment in her life when kids were making fun of her very intensely in grade school for being different. And they were showing me her hippocampus was really enlarged, like very swollen and inflamed. And so as we did the toning work and as we did the neurolinguistic programming where we rewrite the old memory and write in a new one, I was watching the hippocampus start to, I mean, it's actually quite tiny to begin with, but I was watching it shrink down and become less swollen. And when I see those types of things in a person's brain, I know that the healing is starting to work for them. And then usually a week or so later, I get a phone call or an email saying, oh my gosh, you won't believe what just happened. And that relationship or whatever we've been working on has really greatly improved. And so, for example, I know, and I'm not going to say the right mudras yogically, but I know that this position corresponds to our entire limbic system. So that's 4 or 5 different parts of our brain, depending on the neuroscientist you speak to. That entire part of our brain, the limbic brain, deals with emotion, deals with trauma, and deals with trauma recovery. And so when we do certain hand motions, we are stimulating certain parts of our brain to heal them faster.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adalina. And Margaret, sure, thank you. That was lovely. Namaste. And yeah, we will continue with the questions a little bit. Just a reminder to everyone. If you are on Zoom app and you want to talk to Adalina, you can raise your hand by clicking on the More button. It has 3 dots above it, and then you click on Raise Hand. And if you want to type your question, there is the chat box on Zoom or on the webpage yourdivineuniqueness.com/live. There is a question box. And so Adalina, the time to receive questions from our audience, I would love if we can talk about the program that you are offering. It's actually it's 2 parts program. It's the package A, it's Anchor Points, a 5 parts channeled course. And then package B, it's the course from package A plus 55 minutes private session with you. And I invite everyone to visit the page yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, ADALINA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the webcast page or later on the replay page. And yes, so Adalina, I would love if you can tell us about this program and what our audience can experience with you.
Of course. So Anchor Point is a really beautiful course. It was actually the, I believe, 6th channeled course that I released. And when I channel courses, I like to do so live because the guides speak through me for that specific group. And somehow they always know who is going to be there later and in the future. And so they send messages for them as well. But doing it live is such a gift because you get to see people's faces, you get to hear from them, and the guides really respond to that. And so I chose to do Anchor Point after this really crazy year. I think all of us have had a crazy year, whatever your belief system is or how it went for you. Mainly because I kept working with clients who were talking about the feeling of home and just not, after being home for a whole year, not really feeling at home anywhere and wanting to move, but not knowing where they were supposed to be. And this is, it's an after effect of trauma. And we have gone through a collective trauma in the past year. And so I started meditating on that. I was going through my own where do I belong things myself. And I started hearing from the guides about creating our own spiritual home and making that home something really permanent that cannot be lifted from us, that cannot be altered, that will always be there. And so this course gets about as spacey as possible. We go into our galactic grids, which is a place of connection to every single soul we've ever been connected to in our entire lives. And when I say lives, I mean past lives as well. And so we go into that place. We are able to fully meet those souls and commune with them and talk to them. And once we connect in with our galactic grids and we see how connected we are throughout time and throughout history to some of those that we have in our life today, as well as some that we don't, or maybe some that we haven't met yet, that helps us to build a sense of security and to feel better after this year of strangeness. We also do a rebirthing process in this course because I think for many of us, childhood may not have been the most soothing experience. And I love working with people on their past and their history because I think there's so much to heal there. And once it's healed, life really improves. You stop being triggered by the small everyday things. And so we go through a rebirthing process in this class too. And then we wrap up with a very trippy return to our spiritual home. After the last session, the class is broken up into 5 sessions. So after the last session, a lot of people emailed me and said, I was on the floor for like 2 hours after that. I felt so relaxed. I felt so good. I just stayed there and hung out in my spiritual home. And now I get to go there whenever I want. And it feels so wonderful. And I'm no longer thinking about moving because this is my true home. And so I don't need to worry so much about the rest. So it's a beautiful class. I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. The reviews of it were very beautiful. And it's deeply discounted here today on Monsef's show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adalina. And I love how you guide the participants in the course and like help them to reach that feeling of feeling home, because like you just mentioned, like many times we feel attached to some location or people that we know, but the true feeling of home, it's when we connect to our soul, to our inner being, and also our like the galactic family. It's the true feeling of home. So thank you so much for offering that. And also also you mentioned that's it touched upon healing the inner child, which is really important. It can change so much in our life. And also just this part can really, when we do that healing, many gifts can open after that. So yeah, I really love that's including all these parts. And also I would love if you can tell us about the private session. How do you do the private session, and what subjects the audience can work on with you?
Of course. So the package B is private session with me and the Anchor Point course. And I love to work with people one-on-one. That's really my favorite thing. I, of course, love the group classes too. But if you're into astrology, I'm a double Cancer. So the nurturing and the loving is really my fave. Mm-hmm. And so in a private session, we can work on anything that you'd like. I am a very trained trauma counselor. I found that most people who come to work with me want a combination of things. They know my background, they know about the neuroscience part, they know about the spiritual part, And a lot of people tend to come and just say, I have a lot of trauma. I don't really know where to go. I'm not really sure where to start. Let's just leave it open and let the guides decide. And it's always the perfect thing for them at that time. There will always be a longer message for each individual from the guides about whatever topic they choose. And if they decide not to choose a topic, the guides will choose it. And it's usually something pretty empowering, to say the very least. The guides talk a lot about people's life purpose lately. And I think that's very timely, given what we've been through as a culture in the last year and a half and the changes that people have gone through, sort of without their will, without their acknowledgement, without their choice, just because of what was happening in the outside world. And so it's very timely that the guides choose to talk to people so much about life purpose and what their direction going forward could be. The guides will never do fortune telling. That's not their role. They're very firm about everyone having free will, everyone deciding for themselves. They do not steal your free will ever. That's another tip for people when they're channeling. If the guides start to steal your free will, that's not the guides, that's you.
Right.
And so they can give you possible future timelines, like perhaps this, perhaps that, because they want to make sure that you know all of the options that are available to you so that you feel free to choose.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adalina, for both the course and also for being available through the one-on-one session. So we're grateful to you for offering those to our audience. And yeah, so everyone, yeah, I really encourage you to work with Adalina, whether through the course or both the course and the one-on-one session. And again, you will find both of them on the page yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, ADALINA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the webcast page, or later on the replay page. Wonderful. So, Adalina, can we start taking questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. So let's see. We have Erica on Zoom.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I have this heat on my spine. It's like from below the skull to about the chest area. And I feel maybe it's some kind of blockage that could be related to why I don't let my spiritual gifts through either. Is there anything you can tap into about that?
Sure, let me check. Our dearest one, we do see that you are in conversation with your spirit guides for a great deal of the day. And we understand that you feel as though you may be blocked in terms of receiving messages from them. And we do agree there are some blocks there. However, it does not stop them from trying to communicate with you. For example, the Archangel Collective is very nearby, as well as Master Yeshua and the Mary Magdalene Collective. And so, dear one, what we send to you is this activation to begin to get comfortable with that heat, to acknowledge that it is your guides trying to get through to you, trying to send you messages and wanting to communicate. And so we are just sending some energy through that blockage now. We do recommend that you follow up with someone and start working on the source of that blockage, which we do see as being some earlier traumatic events, as it is for most. And now take a deep breath. Release the breath. And dear one, when you start to feel that heat building and rising, we recommend that you stop what you are doing if you can, and get out a pen and a piece of paper and just allow your hand to move. We are the Pleiadians, and we do enjoy moving through people's hands in this way in written form. But we are seeing that this is a specific point of progress for you. Please try to remember that this heat is here just to show you that your guides are surrounding you now, and it is not to harm you in any way. Many blessings to you.
Thank you very much.
I hope it goes well for you. Good luck with the writing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adalina. And let's see. We have a question from Maria. Hi, thank you for taking my question. I wonder if you can see if I'm on my true path. I have started awakening since 2020, and I have started to heal myself from fibromyalgia and burnout and brain fog with help from when I have listened to similar calls. And now I'm feeling that I have very high vibration in my body. I have helped my sister when she had pain in her shoulder, when I had my hand on her shoulder and felt warm energy. And after that, she had no more pain. For a year ago, I fainted and was gone for a while and was hospitalized. They didn't find any illness, but after that, were my mind more clear and I started to feel more vibration in my body and more energy.
Great. I didn't hear a question there. All of that sounds wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, she just said if you can see if she is on her true path. That's
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Our dearest one, we are very happy to hear all of this progress, though of course we've been standing by for all of it. Yes, our dearest one, you are on your truest path, and you already know this without asking, for you are feeling our energy throughout your body. When you say you're feeling high vibration in your body, it is our presence. And we already know that you know this. We from the Mary Magdalene Collective have stayed very close by you during this time, and we have helped you to heal your sister, and we have helped you to heal yourself, dear one. And what we ask of you is to remember that this is a process, and that getting onto your true path and staying onto your true path is not always iterative. It is not always linear, but that you are heading there, dear one. If you would like, you may choose to learn more at this time, for your gifts are just beginning to surface. And so it would be a good time for you, in divine timing, of course, to begin working with someone one-on-one to further develop your gifts, for they will flourish, dear one. This vibration, this high vibration that you feel in your body will continue and will allow you to do greater healing work with others. We are so very pleased for you. We are excited for you. Many blessings to you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Adalina, and thank you, Maria. She wrote, thank you so much. Let's see, we have on the webcast Susan from Washington. As a caregiver, how can I better serve and handle the pain and suffering that some clients experience letting go of their bodies? And the fear, is it my fear?
Our dearest one, no, this is not your fear. We sense that you're picking up a great deal of empathic energy from these souls, and we deeply honor you for your work as a caregiver, for this is possibly the most difficult thing a person can do. It forces you to confront the fear of death hourly. However, dear one, we know that in your heart of hearts, you realize there is nothing to fear from death, for you already know where you will be, what you will be doing. You already know that you will be given the choice to stay up in the space of iridescent light, to experience that world, or to come back down to earth again. And so, dear one, we ask you to allow your body to release that empathic fear that you've picked up from others. We ask you to Tap deeply into your soul and to remember that you have already transcended beyond that. Yes, there may be points of fear of death later on in life for you, but that time is not now. For dear one, you are helping others to cross over. You are providing love for people who may have been forgotten. And this is not only a great honor, but also a very necessary thing to do with your life and your path. And we are grateful for it. All of humanity is grateful for it. Many blessings. And just to say, from an earth perspective, this empathic pain that you're feeling, this empathic fear, it's been a big one for everybody this year. And I just gave a class on this last night, a free class, and that free class will be emailed out to others later. If people really want to receive it, they also can get it through my website in the next few days. They can check back in the next few days for it. But if you are experiencing that type of empathic pain or that type of empathic fear, I really recommend having a session with me, just because it can often be bubbling up, and it's great to just sort of quell it in its tracks and to learn the skills and the tools that you need to do it on your own in the future.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adalina. Mm-hmm. And also thank you so much, Susan, for your question. And we have Michelle Kidd. Hello, I am a grid keeper, mostly working etherically. I am unsure whether to progress to doing this in the physical too. Please. Thank you.
Michelle, I would ask you first, how do you progress to doing this in the physical? Can you explain to me what that looks like for you? Because it's different for everyone. In the meantime, congratulations on being a grid keeper. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Monsef, what were you about to say?
Shiraz, by going to the sites.
Okay. Okay. Our dearest one, we are the Syrians, and we are with you every step of the way as you do this work. What we wish to bring through is that this idea of having to physically be in one place in order to do something is an idea of the 3D. You, our dear one, have progressed beyond the 3D, and therefore you know already that you do not need to be in a physical location in order to work with the grids. You may work with the grids from wherever you are. And as technology continues to update in your world, as these new modernizations continue to happen with technology, your physical form will continue to update as well, almost as if it is a part of the machine, so to speak. And as this world has progressed in the last 20 or so Earth years, the need for physically being in a particular space at a particular time has perished largely. We do agree that gatherings are important, people gathering together, but this can also be something that can be done in this particular way that you're doing now, or you can choose to meet in person just for the extra added social benefits and the benefit to your soul of being around other humans who do this type of work. So for that reason, it may be worthwhile for you to travel to these grid sites and meet others who are doing the same type of work. However, this is not necessary to complete your mission, so to speak, here with the grids. All of this can be done from the comfort of your own home, or whatever home means to you, dear one. If you choose to visit these sites for your own benefit, for your own enjoyment, please do remember to take time to relax. Take very good care of yourself at these particular locations, for the energy pull is quite strong there, and you will need to take extra rest and extra water to keep your grounding in these locations. Either way you choose, we're so very pleased with your work. Thank you very much for this important contribution. Many blessings to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adalina, and thank you, Michelle, for your question. Much love. And let's see. We have a question from Rita. Is the Anchor Point 5-part course live or MP3s? Thank you.
It is video. If you want to join a live course, I just launched a new one today called Freedom. And you can find that on my website at adalinaeast.com. But even when the class has been recorded live and it's now in video format, you will still feel the live energy. There are people who can't take the courses when they're offered live. And I actually work with a lot of people who have to remain anonymous for their jobs. And so they usually don't come to the live sessions. They listen to it afterwards. And I've heard that it's just as powerful as it would be live. The benefit of doing the course live would be that you get to meet other people who are walking the same path as you, and you get to make friends. I also feel that there are points in time when the energy is a bit stronger in the live format, but you'll still feel it in the recorded videos, not to worry. And the healing works exactly the same.
Right. Thank you, Adalina, and also thank you, Rita. And Michelle Shirot, yes, thank you. I did know that. I also know that I can be in 3 continents on one day. I also often work below the earth level. Thank you so much for this answer.
That's awesome.
And let's see, we have a question from Elena. Hello, everyone. I had an older friend who was very gifted, also spiritual. He could track energy many years. He thought I had the same gift. One time, he just looked at me. I think he said, but you know this. After he has passed, I realized I could track. Maybe it was blocked because of insecurity or being different. I have tried really hard to be normal, better to be myself. Nice Zoom meeting. Any message from the Pleiadians from me, Adalina?
Okay. Our dear one, we do see that you are seeking information about your gifts, and we see both of your questions posed before us. We are a bit uncertain by what you mean in terms of tracking, but what we can reveal to you is that you are a woman of very many gifts. These gifts do not come as something that is nameable, so to speak. They are your own. They are a part of your divine uniqueness. And they are not gifts that are shared with very many others. So the tracking theory is not perhaps the most correct, but what we do see is that many of your gifts have already been flowering and growing, perhaps without your knowledge. And dear one, what we would recommend for you is to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and to list the odd things that you are able to do that you notice others are not able to do. Perhaps this tracking thing and anything else that comes up for you. Make a list. And then, dear one, we encourage you to go out to friends that you trust, only those that you trust, and start practicing these gifts and see what comes through. See if they come through as being all-encompassing. See if they come through as something that you don't really want to pursue. This is a time of exploration, dear one. And we do deeply recommend that you do this exploration with another person, with a mentor type person who can help you to differentiate what is a gift and what is something that perhaps may not serve you in the future, for there is a great deal here. You are a woman of many gifts. It is merely a matter of developing them and learning from another as you go. We're so very pleased to see that you are involved in this group and that you are asking the right questions. We are always here for you at any moment. We're so very pleased to work with you, dear one. We are the Pleiadians. Many blessings to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adalina, and also thank you, Elena, for your question. Much love. We have Carol. She wrote, I would love to know if I'm connected to the Pleiadians. Thank you.
Sure. Our dearest one, yes, of course you are connected to the Pleiadians, as you've always felt. The Pleiadians are a beautiful star collective, and we have been around for many millennia. Many of us started out in human form. We were some of the seeders of your great earth. But many of us chose to stay in star form, to stay up in this place of iridescent light so that we could better help and serve the human collective as it goes through this period of rapid change. What we have found is that many people on the earth were once Pleiadians, and many people on the earth with spiritual gifts that they use quite often were also Pleiadians. So yes, dear one, you have a very deep connection to the Pleiades, and we encourage you to explore this more. Many blessings to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adalina, and also thank you, Carol, for your question. Let's go to the webcast page. We have Linda. I am feeling as if all the gifts I have acquired in past lives were learned to come forth in this lifetime. Can you tell me what they are and how I can best bring them forth to utilize in my daily life? Thank you so much. Also, what collective comes forth to bring these forth?
Well, Linda, this is a much larger question than we have time for today. I'm so sorry. This is a question that would be several sessions long to answer. But I can tap into the guides and receive something short for you today, to be fair to all the other people that are on the call and the people who are trying to get their questions in as well. When I talk about people's spiritual gifts and when I start working with them, I don't put forward much about what those gifts are, what those gifts could be. And there's a very specific reason for that. The guides are really clear with me that my job is to just help you move forward and to be a sounding board for you and to be encouragement for you and to teach you new techniques and different things that can help you do that. So some of these techniques are brought forth through my Native American grandmother, like clearing energy and setting up boundaries, those kinds of things. But a lot of them are particular for that person, that individual that I'm mentoring. And so knowing this and having respect for this and respect for the guides process, I don't choose to try to nail down what your spiritual gifts are in the next 5 minutes. I hope you can understand. But I will tap into the guides and see what they have to say for you today. Our dearest one, we do see that you are a multiply gifted woman. We are the Pleiadian collective, as well as the Arcturian collective, sent to speak with you today. Please do understand that you are a woman of many spiritual gifts, but that in order to recover these from your previous lifetimes, this will be a process that will require some time and some patience from you. We understand this is not the message that you were hoping for, and we understand that this is not something that is easy for members of the human collective. However, you have waited this long, dear one. You have waited through all of these many lifetimes. And so we ask you to wait a bit more and to find the space and time each day to sit down in meditation and to begin your daily practice with this meditation that we would like to share with you now. And this meditation can also be used by everyone on this call. to begin to tap into their own unique spiritual gifts on their own before they are able to work with someone else to do so. We ask you to place one hand over your third eye and place one hand over your heart. And then we ask you to breathe in for 3 counts and breathe out for 7. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now take your fingers and begin tapping on your third eye point, this place just between your eyebrows. And as you tap here, take very deep breaths. Allow the oxygen to fill your lungs. Let your mind go. Any thoughts that you're having, notice that they're coming in and then discard them, let them go. Remembering that you are opening yourself up to the universe here. Allowing the universe to rush in and remind you of what spiritual gifts you've cultivated in previous lifetimes and in this one that are just waiting to be expressed. You can stop tapping now and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And now set your intention with your guides on hearing from them the next right step. What is the next right thing that you can do today to begin developing your divine uniqueness, your unique spiritual gifts? Is there healing to be done? Are there traumas or blocks that need to be released? For most, there is. Is it time to start working with someone like a mentor in order to develop your gifts? Is it time to sit silently in meditation, the pen and paper, and let the ideas flow through? And take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. A deep breath in and a deep breath out. And one more deep breath in and a deep breath out. And if your eyes are not open yet, slowly open your eyes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adalina.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also thank you so much, Linda, for your question. Can we take one more question?
Yes.
Okay. So it's from Fahad from New York on the webcast.
Nice. I'm from New York. Hey, Fahad.
Dear Monsef and Adalina, can you help with the trauma that affects my nerves, causing me to get super heated? Can you and the Pleiadians explain what is happening?
Yes. Our dearest one, we do see that this is a trauma that has taken place in your spiritual body that has been manifested into the physical for you to be able to become more aware of it and to be able to work with it instead of working against it. We do see that the healing for this on the physical plane may take some time, and we encourage you to work with someone in particular on that. However, in terms of the spiritual healing, we do see that this trauma was related to something that happened between you and someone that you loved very deeply. When this particular thing happened, there was a certain closing off of your heart that took place because it was so wounded. And so, dear one, we do not ask you to dive back into that lion's den, so to speak, but we do ask you to begin your journey of forgiveness for that experience, forgiveness of the universe for having that happen to you, forgiveness of that person, and begin the beginning of your path to freeing yourself from that experience. We do understand it was quite damaging, and we do understand that there was a part of your physical body that so did not want to feel it, to the point that it went numb and then hot. Our dear one, part of this heat is the anger that is boiling inside of you. And so it is for your own health and for your own recovery that we ask you to do some forgiveness work with this loved one. Of course, not needing to speak to them at all, but working with someone outside the situation to help you recover from this trauma. We encourage you to keep going and working with this dear one, for we do see mostly possible future timelines that are very positive for you and very freeing of this condition. So we ask that you do continue working on this and not give up. Please do not give up, dear one, for you are nearing the end of this particular saga in your life story. We ask you, dear one, to work with the meditations and the work of this channel, which you can find online. And we ask you, dear one, to work with her in particular on this feeling of warmth and on the forgiveness piece. For as you begin to forgive this person, even if it feels as though it's already happened, as you continue in your forgiveness journey, newer things look as though they will be brought to your attention, beautiful things, beautiful love. And we wish that for you more than anything else. We thank you for this question. We thank you for your trust. And we wish many blessings for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adalina. And also thank you, Fahad, for your question. I want to share some feedback we received first from Linda. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Good.
And
Thank you, Linda.
Michelle, thank you, Linda. And Michelle Kidd, that was a wonderful process. Thank you. I will practice it often.
Good.
Thank you, Michelle. And Carol, thank you so much, Monsef, for reading my question. And thank you, Adalina, for the answer. I feel honored to be connected to the Pleiadians.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. And also Susan, the one I read her question before. Thank you for answering my question. So helpful. And can I find the class you gave on the subject last evening on your website?
Not yet. What's happening with that is that it will be emailed out to the people who wanted to experience it. But let's say this, if you want to purchase Anchor Point through Monsef's show, I will throw that in as well, and we'll email that out to you. How's that?
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Adalina. And yeah, also thank you, Susan, for your feedback. And yeah, I guess those received. And yeah, so thank you again, Adalina. It was really amazing time we spent with you. Thank you for the guidance, for the inspiration, and also the Pleiadian activation. Yeah, it was really an honor to have you with us on the show. So thank you so much.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much, Monsef. And thank you, everybody, for being here and sharing time with Monsef and me.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing with us this space and time, and sharing with us your beautiful energies. Thank you for those who shared their feedback and also asked their questions. And again, I highly recommend that you join one of the packages that's Adalina put together for us, and you will find them on the page yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Adalina, ADALINA, or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the webcast page or on the replay page. And yeah, so that's everyone. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.